Okay, well, basically, if you go back, I think one of the best types of narrative descriptions you'll get of how all this came about can be found in the Rosicrucian Cosmoconception, written by Max Heindel. It outlines basically what the Rosicrucian belief is in the real history of the world, and this aligns with the other secret teachings of these other organizations and occult groups. Places like the Theosophical Society, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, the Freemasons, all across the board, they all teach very much a take on this same notion. But I think it's this Rosicrucian outline that gives you the best concept of how it all happened. So, according to the Rosicrucian cosmoconception, we have gone through these cyclical epochs in the development, or what they call the evolution of mankind, since the very beginning. Now, the first iteration of man that existed was called the Hyperborean man. And this was eventually through this continuous cycle of development and growth of various sub races within mankind. They all eventually strike in a time when they are afflicted by a great cataclysm of some sort, where only a remnant remains. So now this is part of the cyclical nature of things. So it said the Hyperboreans, they met some kind of a cataclysmic end, and then the remnant turned into, or transmuted into, evolved into the Lemurian races, which were the predecessors of the Atlantean races. And the same thing happens again and again. So the Lemurian races were said to inhabit what was called the southern continent. And according to what the secret teachings, the secret doctrine tells us about this, is over the course of time, when these repeated cataclysms and these cycles happen, the land masses shift, and where now exists all water and ocean were one times the main land masses, and where land is now were once covered with oceans. So this is what they teach through their secret doctrine, and you can see how some of our more scientific modern ways of thinking can kind of go along with this in certain regards, because you'll notice they find fossils of sea creatures on land and stuff like that. So their explanation for that is the whole notion of what they call Pangea in the geological studies of things. They claim there was one major mega supercontinent at one time and it drifted apart. Well, this is slightly different from what they teach in the secret doctrine. They say that landfalls rise and sink beneath the seas over the course of time through these various cataclysms that happen in these different epochs. So we had, predating the Atlantean epoch, we had this Lemurian epoch, wherein there were sub-races of this iteration of mankind that began to evolve and develop, and they were cataclysmically destroyed because of, allegedly, according to the secret doctrine, volcanic activity that brought about the end of the bulk of the Lemurian race. And the remnant that remained afterwards, after this cataclysm, developed into what are called the Atlantean races, of which there were 7 sub-races, and there's always 7 sub-races in each of these epochs. And this was the rise of the Atlantean epoch. And this is where things really got interesting, and this is where much of what they claim their secret knowledge comes from, is from this culture, this advanced type of mankind that developed in the late stages of the Atlantean epoch. So the late races of Atlantis, which are said to be our predecessors by those in the secret schools, that when this cataclysm of Atlantis happened, the remnant of those that remained spread out and became the seeds of the current iteration of mankind and the current sub-races of mankind. And a lot of this, when you delve deeply into it, you can find just so many connections to things going on in the world today.